Good morning, my fellow yoga travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, live the life we love. Well, if you want more joy in your life, you have to align yourself with the values. You have to rendezvous with the stuff in your life that supports you, that helps you go beyond fear, pessimism, hopelessness. Even if things work against you, you have to work for you. So that means don't let anyone alienate you from your deeper truth. Love yourself, love your life, love your spontaneity especially. That's one of the gifts you give. And find some practice that enables you to vanish from the world every day, disappear, drop out of the social net. I've found that in what I call, or Jung calls, the collective unconscious, the same motifs, the same themes keep popping up all over. It's something into our common humanity that's built into our nervous systems, which is where our imagination works from. So the appeal of these constants are very deep in our life. And even if the world hurts, as Joseph Campbell says, say yes to it by joyful participation in the sorrows of the world. Story for today is The Devil with Three Golden Hairs. Once there was a boy born in a village and he had a cowl, that amniotic sac that sometimes accompanies the afterbirth. It's usually a sign of good luck. And so the king was in incognito, checking out what was going on in different parts of the land. He came to this village and he found that there's anything new going on. They said, yeah, a boy's been born with a cowl. He's going to be a lucky child. And it's prophesied that he's going to marry the king's daughter at 14. So the king thought to himself, what, some commoner's going to marry my daughter? No way. So to divert this possibility, he found the parents and he offered them a lot of money if he could take the kid and give him a good life. He just said he was a rich person. He didn't say he was the king. So the parents decided it's a lot of money. Maybe the kid will have a better life. So they gave away the boy. And instead of taking him and raising him, the king put him in a basket and sent him down the river, just like Moses, hoping that he would get drowned. But he didn't. It got stuck at a mill. And the apprentice found the box and saw it was a baby in it and give it to the miller and his wife, who had no children. They raised it. They were very, very happy that they had a child. Many years later, 14 years to be exact, the king was out on a hunting trip and got stuck in a thunderstorm. And just so happened he was by the miller's place, and he went there, and he was talking to them, and he said, oh, we're so lucky we had no child, and we had this foundling. We found them 14 years ago. And then the king realized, oh, this is him. All right, I still got to get him out of the picture. So he said, I'll give your son 2 golden pieces if he will deliver this message to the queen. And he wrote on the message, kill this boy as soon as he gets there. So off the boy went, but he got lost in the forest, and he made his way to some light that he saw in a cottage. And he walked in and he was exhausted. And he told the woman what was going on. He says, you can't stay here. This is a den of murderous robbers. And if they find you here, they'll kill you for sure. But he was so tired, he couldn't even listen to her advice. And he just fell asleep right there. And then the robbers came back. And when they saw him, they said, who's this? She said, well, he's this guy taking this note to the queen. He was just too tired. And so he said, let me see that note. So they read the note. They said, this seems so unfair. And here these murderous robbers having a moment of compassion. They said, listen, let's change the note. So they changed the note to say, marry him to the princess right away. So the boy got up. The robbers left. He went to the queen. The queen saw the note, immediately held the wedding. And then the king came back and said, what happened? How did he marry? He says, this is the note you sent. He says, this is not the note I sent. So he said to the boy, did you change the note? He says, I didn't do anything to it. Maybe when I slept last night in the forest, they changed it. So you're not going to get my daughter that easily. You got to go to hell and get 3 golden hairs from the devil's head. Then you can marry. He says, I'm not afraid of the devil. I'll do that. So off he went. The first town he came to, the porter said, what's your trade and what do you know? And he said, I know everything, and what I don't know I can find out. Well, the porter said, listen, if you can find out why the market square's fountain, which used to spew wine, now only spews water, find out what that's about. He says, don't worry, I'll let you know on the way back. Then he went to the second town, and the porter there said, what's your trade and what do you know? He said, I know everything, and anything I don't know I can find out. All right, well, listen, there's something going on here. We used to have a tree that produced beautiful leaves and then nice pear fruits. Now it doesn't do anything. Can you find out why? Don't worry, I'll find out, and on my way back I'll tell you. Then he got to a river where a ferryman had to take him across, and the ferryman said to him, what's your trade and what do you know? He says, well, I know everything. Anything I don't know I can find out. So the ferryman said, listen, I'd like to find out why I can't get any relief, and I'm the only one who has to ferry people back and forth. He says, don't worry, on the way back I'll let you know. So he made it to hell. He knocked on the door, and it wasn't the devil who answered, it was the devil's grandma. And she was a more kindly soul, even though she was in hell. And she said, tell me your story. So he told her the whole story. He says, well, listen, if the devil finds you here, he'll definitely kill you. It's an abominable place. You know that. But here's what he'll do. I like you, so I'm going to make you the size of an ant. I'm going to put you in my skirts, and then just listen to everything that transpires. Perfect timing, because then the devil comes in and says, I smell a human here. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no human here. And he starts ripping the place apart, and she scolds him and saying, listen, I just tidied up the place. Stop making such a mess. He says, all right, I can, but I can still smell something. So after a big meal, you know how it is, you get tired. So he started snoring, and she puts his head in his lap and starts cleaning out the lice, and she plucks out a yellow hair and says, oh, what'd you do? How'd you wake me? I said, well, I had this crazy dream. What kind of dream are you talking about? I dreamed there was this market square, and the fountain there that used to give wine only gives water now. He says, oh, those people are so stupid. They only realized there was a toad blocking up the whole stream. Kill the toad and everything will be fine. Then he falls back asleep again. She waits till he's snoring deeply. She plucks out another hair from him and says, oh, goddamn woman, what are you doing? He says, I had another one of these crazy dreams, and that's what happened. Yeah, what was this dream about? Says, well, there's another town where they had these leaves that were beautiful and a pear tree that kept producing, but now the leaves are dead and there's no pear trees. He says, these people are so stupid, they can't figure out anything. There's a mouse eating the roots of the tree. If they kill that mouse, everything will be fine. So then these things happen, 3 times. The things happen once, never happen again. Things that happen twice probably happen 3 times. So the third time he falls asleep, he starts snoring. She plucks out the last hair. He says, my God, woman, what are you doing? He says, I can't help it. I have these bad dreams. What's this dream about? He says, well, there's some ferryman. He's wondering how come he can never get any relief. He says, oh, God, he's so stupid, too. Just have him hand the pole to the next person who comes by, and they'll switch places. So he falls asleep. That's how it is. He gets up the next day, and when he leaves and the grandmothers make sure he's gone, she changes the ant back into the boy and says, did you hear everything? He says, yes, I did. Thank you very much for your kindness. And off he goes. So on the way back, of course, he meets the ferryman in the first place, and the ferryman says, so did you learn anything? He says, yeah, very simple. The next person who comes by, let them hold the pole. You can make the switch. Thank you very much. Goes to the next town. There's the place where they have the leaves and the problem with the pear trees. So he tells the elders, all you got to do is kill this mouse that's eating the roots. Everything will be fine. So they do it, and immediately everything flourishes. They give him a donkey laden with gold, and off he goes. Then he goes back to the first town, and they said, did you find out anything? He says, yes, there's a toad blocking up the flow. Kill the toad, and all of a sudden, the wine will flow again, which they did, and it did. And they were so happy, they gave him a donkey also laden with gold. So off he goes back to the king. The king is surprised to see that he has the 3 golden hairs from the devil's head and these 2 donkeys laden with gold. And the boy says, well, there's a ferryman back there, and he takes you to the other side of the river, and the sand there is all made of gold. You could just scoop it up with your hands and be as rich as you want. Well, the king is really greedy, So, of course, he goes, and when he gets to the ferryman, the boat is kind of unsteady, and the ferryman says, listen, can you hold the pole for a second till I steady the boat? And the king says, sure, I can. So he holds the pole. The ferryman goes out. Now the king is stuck there ferrying people for his life as a punishment for the sins he's committed. Meanwhile, the young boy, he's laden with gold, and now he seems like a pretty good prospect. And so he did stay married to the princess, and they ruled in harmony for the rest of their life.